this work from home experiment that is going on around the world, you have to kind of conclude that it has been a success. And I'm hearing that from a lot of different occupiers. So being in the business of office development and investor and stuff, it's very, it's a little bit nerve wracking because you just don't know where you should be investing to kind of be ahead of the curve. You're always trying to, as Wayne Gretzky would say, skate to where the puck is going to be as opposed to where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think to myself, with work from home, with, virtual meetings, with all of this stuff, the workplace is definitely going to change. I don't think it's going to disappear altogether because I think there's too many sort of superfluous kind of needs out there, like, marketing meetings and collaborative spaces, and all of that is necessary. But it's definitely going to look different to how it did before COVID. So that's taxing my brain.
Yeah, do you know what? It's funny. I've had a lot of conversations over this sort of issue, if you like, with people during COVID. And I feel like we've gone through kind of almost a cycle whereby you're absolutely spot on. At the beginning, everyone was discovering Zoom, which we're talking on right now. Everyone was figuring out, actually, hang on, this work from home thing is okay. It's working. Companies that had it on the radar were probably relatively well prepped for it. They could get it working quite quickly. You then had other companies that it wasn't on the radar, but they were forced into doing it anyway, that maybe have now thought, actually, this does work. And everyone was talking about this. It was amazing. We can do all these property networking meetings that I've done a million and one of. But I feel like over the course of COVID, people have started missing the human interaction a bit. And so I think I agree with you. I don't think it's going to go away completely, this sort of need to be in an office together physically, but it's certainly going to change. But do you see it kind of almost becoming a want rather than a need now? And that's going to change people's, I suppose, mindset from a business owner perspective on how they organize their workforce.
Well, you see, the thing is there's so many moving parts. It's a complex, it's not so simple as just simply, somebody needs an office. You've got so many stakeholders. You've got, on the side that I'm on, you've got the investors, you've got the bankers that are financing it. And so they have very specific needs. Then you got the occupier, and the occupier, in a sense, the occupier doesn't want an office. It wants a productive workforce. And so if they can have a productive workforce working from home exclusively, well, then that's what they'll want. And that's what they'll go for, because it'll work for their bank and their budgets and stuff. The problem is when you get into things like corporate culture, and you've got people that are working from home that haven't met a colleague personally, haven't kind of like had a chat, by the water cooler, as they say, about, the football on the weekend. And suddenly you feel like that, I can do this work for 5% more that this other person, that my employer's number one competitor is offering me. And so I think there's an aspect of corporate culture that will come into it where people will want you back in the office for kind of social interaction. And then there's also the whole creative side, that trying to have a creative, meeting where, say, you're kind of like throwing all these ideas at a wall and you're kind of writing down ideas. It doesn't really work on Zoom that well when people are kind of talking over one another and stuff. So I don't know, the jury is still out. And I do think that there'll probably be a hybrid solution that comes out of it, where we all have a little bit of flexibility. I actually enjoy the flexibility of work from home when I choose, but I definitely am more productive in the office. So I like to come into the office, shut the door, get a load of stuff done. I can shut the door now because COVID-19 suggests that's the best thing to do. Before, you were kind of like a very grumpy, you weren't particularly sociable closing your door on everybody. Now it's the recommended thing. And, but the same, just, there's an awful lot of habits have changed. And I don't see anyone wanting to go back to long commuting and sitting in traffic for hours.